These scrappy little rascal Rangers are no longer just cute and fun and a nice feel-good story. They're a good team because they just won a series against the best team in all baseball. Talk about how they did it and more right after this.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers, the first and best daily Rangers podcast. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan, covered this team for 12 seasons, including all 7 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, on today's show, we're talking about these little rascal Rangers, why the Rangers are going on this run now, and why it might not be in spite of this massive rash of injuries, but because of it. What about why that is? But first, this episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Now, the Texas freaking Rangers have just taken 2 out of their first 2 against the Milwaukee Brewers this afternoon. They will have a chance to sweep the best team in baseball, thanks to the efforts of, well, Michael Helman and his friends. Yes, Michael Helman has been the story of this series so far. And Brewers manager Pat Murphy last night after the game, after another incredible game for Michael Helman, a guy who was a 29-year-old rookie who was a late mid-round draft pick out of Texas A&M University, grew up in Lincoln, Nebraska, and has burst onto the scene. Never a top prospect by any means, only made it onto one MLB Pipeline top 30 prospect list the year after he was drafted at 29 of 30 on the Minnesota Twins top prospect list. And this guy has been flat out sensational in these 2 games, providing the first Rangers grand slam of the season. In Monday night's game, he also drove in a run with an RBI double. It was Rangers, or I guess Michael Helman 5 on Monday, Brewers 0. And in this one, another incredible game, following it up with another home run, a 2-run bomb. Also worked a walk in this one and also stole a 2-run homer. So a net positive of 4 runs worth of home runs in each of these last 2 games, minus 2 runs for the Brewers on that 2-run homer that he robbed. It was just honestly, truly one of the most incredible catches in the outfield we've seen this season. I mean, Helman's had some exceptional diving plays out there in the outfield. He's also a super utility player. I don't think we're going to see him play shortstop or second base or third base in the major leagues this year, but he's done all of that in the minor leagues. He's played all 3 outfield spots in the minor leagues this year. He's played a little bit, I believe, all the 3 outfield spots in the major leagues this year, but he's the Rangers' best defensive outfielder right now. And that's saying something because they've got some incredible ones in Wyatt Langford, who patrols left field or center field, depending on what kind of handed pitcher is throwing on the given day. Because Michael Helman has just gotten the start against lefties right now. And I think you got to ride the hot bat at this moment, because at this point, he might be your most dynamic player. He's only played in 22 games this year. He's already got 1 Baseball Reference score. In 22 games, 58 plate appearances, this guy has been so impactful in what he's done with the time he's had. He's got 6 walks to 9 strikeouts, which is a nice rate, 17 RBIs in 22 games, and 5 home runs, a 961 OPS, while playing exceptional defense out there in the outfield. He has just been the spark plug for this Rangers offense. And it's not just him, it's the rest of these little rascals. I mean, basically you point to any rookie on this Rangers roster right now, and that's a member of the little rascals, mainly Cody Freeman and, Michael Helman, I feel like is the ringleader at this point. Alejandro Osuna, definitely a member of those little rascals. And I'd say even Dustin Harris falls into that category for sure. And the Rangers have been carried by these guys. I mean, a great day for the little rascals, all of them getting a hit, at least all of them that played in this game. I mean, Cody Freeman driving in a run, a hit with runners in scoring position, something the Rangers had not done a whole lot of in the last week. He comes up with a big hit there. Alejandro Osuna also reached base to just kind of keep that line moving after the leadoff walk by Josh Young. Just keeps that line moving to the next guy up. I mean, such a Rangers offensive mentality. And these kids have been aggressive. They have been, not perfect. I mean, you look at their numbers, and it's not anything that's outstanding, but it's a little bit of that energy. I'll talk more about that in the third segment. But this is a team full of these aggressive rookies who are getting their chance, and they are making the most of it. And it's not just them. I mean, this was a great offensive day. I mean, up and down this lineup. I mean, not a great day offensively for Jock Peterson, who put together some solid at bats, and the Rangers were kind of stymied early on by Chad Patrick, a guy who had a 3.6 ERA heading into this game. And I don't know how he was in the minors. I guess just because the Brewers staff is so darn good, they didn't have room for all of these really, really good pitchers and all these really, really good hitters. Nice to see a familiar face in Grant Anderson getting a chance on this very, very good Brewers team. But this was a team that rallied after they got down, lost the lead. They gained that lead with a great RBI hit from, of course, Cody Freeman. And then Jack Leiter got himself into a little bit of trouble. I mean, this was his worst start basically since the All-Star break. Not a bad start by any means, but still, he almost got himself out of it, but just a little bit of bad defense from, himself, and it ends up being a 3-run inning. And the Rangers, what do? But they rally back for 4 immediately after, with some great plate appearances by not just Heim, but Helman with that 2-run homer. I mean, Heim working that walk to get on base ahead of Michael Helman, where in one inning he had 4 runs worth of homers in either direction. I mean, leaping up above, it's not just that he got to it. It's not just the leap to rob Bryce Terang of that 2-run homer. It's the fact that he started so far away. He had to make such a perfect read on that ball, use his elite speed to get there, time his jump perfectly, and then make that jump, get himself up over the fence. I mean, one of the better home run robberies I've seen in quite some time. I mean, I think it's been since Eli White that I've seen a home run robbery that good. I mean, Eli White had a catch pretty similar to that one. White, I think, was a little bit faster and jumped maybe a little bit higher. Might have been a better read off the bat. I mean, Eli White was just such an incredible defender out there in the outfield, and Michael Helman is incredible as well. But not just that, but they bring in the lefty to face Josh Smith. I got to give huge shout out to Josh Smith for working that single. I mean, it was a quality at bat against a lefty, a tough lefty too. He just muscles a single over the infield, dumps it into the outfield, and then Wyatt Langford, who really had a tough time seeing Chad Patrick, struck out in his first 2 plate appearances of the game, just mashes an RBI triple, his first triple of the season, which feels wild because he's got such absolutely dynamic speed, and he's been such an offensive force as of late. I mean, Wyatt Langford right now is up to 5.1 baseball reference WAR in 124 games, might end up finishing with as much as 5.5. And shout out to Sean McFarland of the Dallas Morning News, who wrote up about how many different players of Wyatt Langford's age have had a baseball reference WAR of 5.2, but it's gone down since Saturday. But through Saturday's game, here are some of the other hitters who were 23 or younger who had as high a baseball reference WAR this century. It's guys that are incredible talents, and it shows the kind of pace that their trajectory that Wyatt Langford is on. There's Ronald Acuna Jr., there's Corey Seager, there's Francisco Lindor, there's Miguel Cabrera, there is Freddie Freeman, Giancarlo Stanton, Julio Rodriguez, and Juan Soto, which kind of wild to see Juan Soto in his 4th season was as old as Wyatt Langford is now in his 2nd season, and that he was already on the Padres at that point. But that's the kind of trajectory that this kid is on. I mean, he is not a member of the Little Rascals because he is not rascally. He is just good. This guy is just straight up exceptional with a great plate appearance in that spot, and also just a big pinch hit RBI double for Kyle Higashioka, something the Rangers have not done well with these pinch hitters late in these games, these platoon swaps. They have not worked out particularly well for the Rangers to this point in the season, but it's a big spot there for Kyle Higashioka. That run ends up being the difference in this game. If Kyle Higashioka did not double there, did not get Wyatt Langford in, then the Rangers maybe have to go to extra innings. Maybe they walk it off in the bottom of the ninth inning because they're just such a scrappy team that is really on a roll as of this moment. But they needed every run that they could get in this one, and they needed to prevent every one that they could get after Jack Leiter left this game. This is a great day for the bullpen. We'll talk about that and why Jack Leiter struggled just a little bit in this one. All that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure that you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Right now, I'm looking up these Texas Rangers, these scrappy little rascal Rangers, and their odds to win the World Series. They are, wow. They are down there behind the Houston Astros and the New York Mets at plus 4,500 to win this World Series this year. And to win the ALS right now, the Astros favorite at minus 120, the Mariners plus 105, Rangers at plus 1,000, despite being just 2.5 games out with 3 games left against these Houston Astros. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. The show is also brought to you by Nutrafol. You've probably seen millions of ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. There are so many products out there, and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. That's why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just hype. This is a supplement clinically tested that targets the root causes of thinning and shedding with proactive approach. They've got all kinds of different ways to get in on this. It's so simple to add to your day. 4 pills with a meal, no prescription needed. It's easy. And now you can feel good about it knowing Nutrafol is NSF certified and backed by peer-reviewed studies. See thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Shout out to the everydayers making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. On tomorrow's show, I'll be back and talking about this final game of the series against the Brewers, possibly a sweep of the best team in baseball. I'll actually be at this game with my father, looking at my first look in person at the one, the only, the great Merrill Kelly. And maybe it'll be just a dynamic game from Freddie Peralta, who's been absolutely incredible this season for the Milwaukee Brewers. But this has been a great team, a great game, a great series for this Rangers squad. It was nearly a much better game, nearly a different game for Jack Leiter. In that 5th inning, he nearly got out of it, if not for his own darn glove, a play that maybe he could have and should have made that scored the first run in this one, a line drive that was hit to him and bounced off his glove and then fell back behind the mound. He tried to get it. He just could not pick it up. The run ends up scoring, and later on ends up scoring 2 more runs on a 2 RBI single by Wilson Contreras, one of the best catchers in all of baseball. And he could have done a little bit better of a job. Might have only been just 1 run had he been able to control the running game just a little bit better in this one, but he just wasn't quite as sharp as he had been in his last 3, 4, 5 starts. I mean, Leiter had been exceptional the last few starts. I mean, he got himself into a little bit of trouble against those Arizona Diamondbacks, but really buckled down. And despite being tagged with the loss in that game, that loss was absolutely on the offense that had 18 bazillion chances with runners in scoring position and could not get the job done. In this one, they pick him back up. They make up for the mistake last week, and they say, hey, our bad, Jack. We got you in this one. And scoring those go-ahead runs and the bullpen holding on to that lead to get Jack Leiter, not a win, but at least not a loss. The velocity was down just a little bit on that 4-seam fastball in this one. It averaged just 96 miles an hour. Normally he's averaging 97 miles an hour. Fastest pitch that he threw in this one was 97.9 miles per hour. Not exactly where he had been in games past, but still getting a lot of called strikes with that four-seam fastball, getting a few whiffs, not getting as many whiffs on the slider. Not a good day for the changeup. I mean, this is a day where he really kind of had to battle. And the changeup has been his second best pitch at this point in the season. It has been truly a special pitch. And I don't know if it didn't have the feel for it in this one, or just that the Brewers were on it, and when it was out of the zone, they weren't chasing it. They recognized it early. Either way, he did not use it as much as he had in the past. Only 12% of the time, where usually he's around 20 to 25-ish% of the time with that changeup. Through the slider significantly more, and it wasn't particularly sharp in this one, but still he found a way to get it done, to keep his team in the ball game. And even when he got pulled in this one, the bullpen stepped up and helped him out. And I got to give a huge shout out to Hoby Milner, who gets credited with the win in this one. I mean, his ERA has just absolutely ballooned up in the last month. The last 7 games, it has been horrible, truly horrifying for Hoby Milner. And I don't think it's because Hoby Miller's bad and this was a mirage the entire time. Hoby Milner has been used so many times to this point in the season. Already 65 appearances on the year, where last year, for the entire season, he had 61. Now, he is a little bit of a rubber arm guy in that when you're a side armor, usually you can recover a little bit faster. But just being used so many times in so many leverage spots when it felt like he was the only leverage reliever that could be trusted. And the last, 3, 4, 5 outings, for the most part, there have been so many just outings where he faced 3 guys and did not record an out. And that is just horrible. But he was great in this. It was great to see him get a bounce back appearance. Danny Coulomb is still on the IL. So the only other lefty and leverage reliever they have at this point is Robert Garcia, who also had a really good shutout inning of work. Luis Carvello comes in, he gets an out. Phil Maton comes in, he works a perfect inning with the strikeout. And then Sean Armstrong comes in and, he does give up a solo shot, does give up another hit in this one, but closes the door with his 8th save of the season. The Rangers take the series in this one, and you got to feel good about this bullpen. I mean, stepping up and doing the job. Only 1 run, despite having to cover 4 1/3 innings of work. I mean, this was also some great help from this defense. I mean, just really great defense all around. Not just Michael Helman's grab, but some really good plays by Josh Smith at shortstop. Some really, really good plays in this whole series by Josh Jung at third base. I mean, his defense has been... it's come leaps and bounds since he was a prospect. This is a guy who was definitely a bat-first prospect. There were a lot of questions if Josh Jung would just have to move over to first base. The arm strength has not been, elite by any means. And early on in his baseballing career, I mean, I watched him at Texas Tech. He played a little bit of shortstop at Texas Tech. Definitely not going to be a shortstop in the big leagues. I think we all knew that when he got drafted. I don't think he's even played shortstop in the minor leagues at all at any point in his minor league or professional career to this point. But the range, the reads, the diving stops, I mean, just knowing when to make a dive for a play, when to go for a ball, when to let the shortstop have it. I mean, going in on balls and making these very, very good plays. This is just such a good defensive team. And that's a huge part, maybe not a huge part, but at least a pretty big part of why this Ranger team has been so good at preventing runs. It's why the pitcher's ERA looks so much better than I think a lot of people expected heading into the season. Not just Nathan Eovaldi, but guys all the way across the board. I mean, Jack Leiter still has a sub-4 ERA at this point to his rookie season. And 4 2/3 innings and 3 runs against the best team in baseball, against an offense that is usually pretty unstoppable. That is a great performance for a young rookie. We'll see how many more starts we get from Jack Leiter down the stretch. I assume it's about maybe 3 starts left in this season. He'll probably get one of those starts against the Houston Astros. I am very much looking forward to seeing what Jack Leiter looks like in that series against the Houston Astros. I think the way it's going to line up, if my math is mathing correctly, it'll be Jack Leiter in the first game against the Houston Astros on that Monday game. In game 2, it'll be Merrill Kelly. And then in game 3, it will be Jacob deGrom. Those are your 3 best pitchers. That is how, well, not the order, but those are the 3 guys who you would want to throw in a 3-game wildcard series, which this Rangers team might just be in. They are clawing, gaining ground. They are now just 2.5 games back in the AL West. They're a game and a half back in that AL wild card. And we could see some movement. This is going to be a big weekend. I believe this weekend is when the Astros and the Mariners play each other. And, the Rangers, they only need to win one of those games in Houston to officially win the season series tiebreaker. And you like to see them win all three, even if the Rangers just win from now until that Houston series. Maybe they could get themselves in a position where they could overtake the Astros for the AL West lead at that point. We could see that. This is still on the table for this Rangers squad to win the AL West. It's been wild. It has been confusing. It has been perplexing for sure. But I think a big reason why the Rangers are doing it is because of this rash of injuries and not having their star players. Talk about why that is and more right after this. This show is brought to you by Gametime. There's nothing like catching a baseball game live. The energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person. But actually getting tickets, that's the tough part. Queues, login screens, surprise fees, it takes all the fun out of it. That's why I use Gametime, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Gametime is fast, it's easy, and it's backed by the Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all those fees are included, so you can see the price that you're actually going to pay. I'm actually just got tickets through Gametime to this Rangers Brewers game that you probably have already seen. Hopefully, my dad and I will get to see a great game. But getting tickets was so darn easy. We got a great deal. It is going to be so much fun to hopefully watch these Rangers sweep these Brewers. But no matter what, getting those tickets through Gametime was such a painless and joyful experience. So download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. Shout out to the aviators for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. After every single game, Jeff Biggs is with you in your podcast feeds on the Locked On Rangers postcast, reacting live post-game show to all 162, all 16 games that are left. There are not all that many baseball games left, but it is live in your Locked On Rangers podcast feeds on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Hopefully, he will be back with you this afternoon talking about a series sweep heading into a big weekend series against the New York Mets. The Rangers gained a game in the standings thanks to the help of old friend Isaiah Kiner-Falefa and thanks to Astros old friend George Springer. This was a big back and forth game between the Astros and the Blue Jays. We are in full on scoreboard watching mode at this point in the season. The Mariners, they beat the St. Louis Cardinals twice now. Old friend, former Rangers prospect Thomas Saggese drove in a run to put the St. Louis Cardinals up 2-0, but unfortunately, that bullpen and that pitching staff in St. Louis could not get the job done, could not hold those Seattle Mariners down. Maybe they can squeeze one game out of there, but the Astros were no-hitting. They were no-hitting the Blue Jays through 5 innings. And then in comes Enyel De Los Santos, the first batter he faces, boom, solo shot to former Astro, former Ranger killer George Springer, who's having a phenomenal season. They were up 3-1 in the bottom of the 9th inning. And in comes Brian Abreu. And what happens that you absolutely love to see if you are a Brian Abreu hater and a Texas Rangers fan, but former Texas Rangers Gold Glover, former Texas Rangers super duper ooper utility player. That is what I deemed him back when he was with the Texas Rangers. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa comes in with a massive game-tying 2 RBI single. They walk it off in the bottom of the 10th inning, and still without Josh Hader, those Astros might be in some trouble. They are 3-7 in their last 10 games, and this Rangers team has been surging as of late. They have been on fire. They have been fun. They have been full of energy. They have been full of life and youthful exuberance, something that this team did not have early on in this season. And while I don't think it's good, don't hear it this way. I don't think it's good that Corey Seager is hurt. I know that's a wild take. I don't think it's good that Marcus Semien and Adolis Garcia are hurt. I really don't think it's good that Nathan Eovaldi is good. I think that's actually very bad. I know I'm very brave to stand on this limb and make such a wild claim. But I think part of the reason why the Rangers have this kind of energy, have this renewed enthusiasm and joy and exuberance, because this was an old team. This was actually not just an old team. This was the oldest team in Major League Baseball this season. There's a lot of guys that are old and that are, well, I wouldn't say crusty. They're definitely bordering on curmudgeonly. They are businesslike. They are very, very businesslike team. They were in 2023. They were in 2024 when they were bad. They were again this year. That's kind of the ethos of this team. They are getting down to business. They are not, blown away in the wins and ebbs and flows of a season. When your stars are Marcus Semien and Corey Seager, two guys that are very buttoned up, very businesslike, very, unemotional on the diamond, that's just kind of the ethos of your team. And those ties are really, really good. And they established a culture that won a World Series, the first ever in franchise history. You also have Jacob deGrom, who's not exactly a super emotive guy. Occasionally he can get there. And Nathan Eovaldi, he can be emotional on the mound occasionally, but I wouldn't describe him as an emotional pitcher. But those guys are a little buttoned up, and they are, wired to be kind of, I don't want to say closed off, but they're serious. They're business life. They're not goofy or silly. They don't have silly goofy in this locker room. That went out the door when Nathaniel Lowe went out the door. That guy was goofy. He kept the energy light and breezy. And they also don't have Austin Hedges bringing in ostrich eggs and smashing them and writing numbers on his butt in magic marker. They don't have that. They did not have that this year. And even when they brought in the young guns, and while I was very reticent to say, oh, Cody Freeman is this year's Evan Carter. Oh, Michael Helman is this year's Evan Carter. None of these guys are this year. They're not Evan Carter. They're just not. And as much as I love Evan Carter and Wyatt Langford, and I think they're both incredible players and going to be a huge part of some great Texas Rangers team for many years to come, they are not like these little rascals. Evan Carter provided that spark just because he is a really, really good baseball player, and he provided that new energy, that new perspective, just a little bit of youthful exuberance that he had back when he was just freshly 21. But both those guys also fit the culture of the Texas Rangers in that they are a little buttoned up. They are a little conservative in just their mannerisms and their, emotions on the diamond. You're not really going to see them get all that fired up and showboaty. You're not really going to see all of that too much from them. And so they are business, like they fit into the culture in that way. And that's fine when things are going really, really well, but you need a little bit of that to weather the storms, the ebbs and flows of a baseball season. That's what Bruce Bochy does incredibly well as manager. He does not get too high, does not get too low. He has been doing this thing since the Stone Ages. And so he knows when he's got a good baseball team, when to hit the panic button and when to say, guys, we're chilling. We're actually pretty good. We're fine. And this year he needed to hit a little bit more of that panic button, make a little bit more moves, but they were just kind of so stony and rigid. And I really think what Kevin Pillar was saying back when he retired and he hopped on a podcast and said, yeah, the Texas Rangers team, there wasn't that camaraderie. There wasn't that energy. There wasn't, that kind of thing that I was expecting. And I think he had a point there. I think at first it seemed a little bit like sour grapes of a guy who just retired because he didn't have it anymore. And, after a great big league career, it's hard to hang it up. And at the time, it just seemed like he was saying, oh, well, I did what I could. And it was just, they don't have any juice. They're no fun at just throwing stones at the team that just cut them loose. And maybe it just came across wrong. I think that's more the case now because he came out later and apologized and said, hey, my bad, guys. I didn't mean to come across as salty and saying this team is a bunch of old curmudgeons, but they kind of were. And when you bring in these guys, these youngsters who don't know any better, I mean, that was part of why the Tigers went on that run. You got to balance the guys who are actually very, very good, very talented, very established baseball players. You got to have those guys on your roster and a lot of them to win a division, go on a run in the postseason and win a World Series. You got to have those guys. You got to have a Corey Seager, a Marcus Semien, Wyatt Langford, Nathan Eovaldi, Jacob deGrom. You got to have those guys. But I think you also have to have those young guys, kind of like the Tigers did that powered that run for the last 6 weeks. I mean, the Tigers sold at the deadline, and then they just went on an incredible run for basically 2 months where they didn't know any better because there was a bunch of young guys who were called up who were playing over their heads and they didn't know, oh, is this supposed to be hard? Oh, is this supposed to be pressure? They're like, I'm getting my chance and I am going to do everything I can to run with it. And that's why you have these guys like Alejandro Osuna, like Cody Freeman, like Michael Helman. This is their shot. This is their best shot to be impact big leaguers on a good baseball team. And they are aggressive. They are not conservative. They are making mistakes out there. Like we saw in this one. I mean, Alejandro Osuna, maybe a little bit too aggressive trying to go first to third with a really good defensive outfield, and he ends up getting thrown out. But then you see Cody Freeman following that up with that first RBI single and turns it into, well, not a double, but he does take second base, seeing the throw go over the second baseman and says, okay, well, I'm going to end up at second base, whether Osuna gets thrown out or not. There's going to be a runner in scoring position for the next guy behind me. Whether they do anything with it or not, it's fine. But they're making those kind of aggressive plays. Occasionally, it can turn into mistakes. Occasionally, it can lead to some misplays. But they are playing with that fire, with that exuberance, with their butts literally on fire. Maybe not literally on fire. If their butts are literally on fire, somebody get a fire extinguisher, and that seems a little bit dangerous. But they're playing over their heads and they do not care. And seeing that energy, bringing that, youthful lightness that, oh my gosh, we're big leaguers. I mean, when you're a big leaguer for 10 years and you're established and you sign a contract that's, 10 years or 6 years or 5 years or 7 years, whatever the case is, when you have been a big leaguer for that long, it's easy to forget, wow, this is an incredible experience. I mean, when you're fighting for your life and for a roster spot every single day, when you are a 26th, 27th, 28th man even on a roster, you bring that energy every single time that you're in the box. Whether you're, coming in to be a defensive replacement late, you're diving every single time. You are making every play that you can. You are sacrificing everything that you've got. I mean, we even saw that infect Adolis Garcia and him just running out, not being double off in that game against Arizona where he ended up getting hurt. He's saying these guys are playing their freaking butts off. They are playing with everything they've got. They are getting quite literally every inch, every centimeter, every whatever third unit of measurement that they've got to make sure that whatever they can do to give this team just the slightest bit of an edge, they're going to do. And when you're a little bit more established, when you're not, fighting for your baseball career, you're like, oh, I'm going to be around for a while. Sometimes it can be easy to let it kind of, go by your head of what an incredible opportunity this is. And you don't, savor the moments as much for lack of a better term. You're not really, as aware and as constantly in awe of the opportunity of how freaking cool it is to honestly play Major League Baseball and to have an opportunity like this to be on a very good baseball team. Because as perplexing as this team is, I really do think this is a very, not just a good or an okay or above average Texas Rangers baseball team. This is a very good baseball team with a lot of potential, and seeing these young guys get their shot and take advantage of it and balance the youthful exuberance and energy of this is my shot. I'm going to do everything I can to make the most of it and make it a very hard decision when some guys get activated off the IL of who's going to go down. Because it's not going to be me. I'm going to do everything to keep my spot. And even if it is me, I'll get another chance because I have showed them what I can do. And also just having the guys who are just flat out ballers, who are just incredible baseball players like Corey Seager, like Marcus Semien, like Wyatt Langford, to inspire that balance of, oh, we've got some legit dudes on this roster, and the guys who step up for the next man up mentality are powering this run, powering this belief, powering this energy that just has not been there all season. And so while it's bad that the Rangers are losing their star players, it might have just saved their season. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy Texas Rangers baseball.